in Hampton Roads right now after the nor'easter passed through, bringing snow and rain, and you're looking live at Old Town Portsmouth and downtown Norfolk. Good evening, I'm Janet Roach.
And I'm Arrianee LaBeau. David Allen has the night off. This is a photo was sent in by Philip K. You can see the snow blanketing Portsmouth last night.
All right, and look at that right there. This winter wonderland. This is in West Kent in Norfolk. And Evan, the snow didn't stick around for long.
That's right. We had the sunny skies through much of the day today. Temperatures into the 40s to around 50 degrees. So that snow melted pretty quickly, but it came down with some big flakes last night. And that storm continues to work its way off towards the east, off of Cape Cod. And we're not totally done with maybe a snowflake or two. We've got a little weak system that's diving through the Ohio Valley and will swing through here late tonight. And that could give us an isolated rain or snow shower into tomorrow morning. We're not looking at anything organized. Again, if it comes down heavy enough, might briefly get a little bit of a quick dusting on the top of a car or a deck, but we're not looking at much with the system out there. And temperatures warming up quite nicely. We could see we had a little bit of snow that was left over on some mulch in some shaded areas into the early afternoon, but even that has melted in most spots with temperatures around 50 degrees in Norfolk, 52 in Williamsburg, 47 in Currituck, and 46 in Melfa up on the eastern shore. So that weak system will slide through here later tonight, and that could, again, as we get into tomorrow morning, bring us a few rain or snow showers, probably around the 4 to 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock time frame. Not looking at much. Be sure to check in with Tim tomorrow morning. He'll be tracking that on radar. And then temperatures warm back up, back into the 50s Thursday and Friday. As a matter of fact, we'll be close to normal by Thursday, which is 57 degrees. Now, some cooler weather is set to move in for part of the weekend. I'll have details on that in the full 7-day outlook in a few minutes.
All right, that nor'easter was powerful enough to knock the power out.
I heard about 3 booms, and on the 4th boom, everything went black.
The strong wind and snow broke a crossarm by Joe Key's Portsmouth home. His power went out around 1 o'clock in the morning. And here's a look at Dominion Energy's outage map. A couple issues are still being fixed on the south side, and almost everything is back to normal on the peninsula.
And the wintry weather created a big mess for drivers this morning.
I didn't really know it was going to snow all that hard. I mean, it was flakes like big as my fist, and the wind just had it going sideways.
Between midnight and 9 o'clock this morning, Virginia State Police got about 125 calls. They checked out 47 crashes and 12 disabled vehicles. VDOT says they couldn't pre-treat the roads ahead of time because of the rain. But once the snow started falling, they had crews out working to keep the roads safe.
A 68-year-old Hampton woman is dead after a 3-car crash in Norfolk. It happened on the Roland Park overpass on Tidewater Drive just before 6 o'clock this morning. Investigators say the driver of a Cadillac lost control, went over the median and slammed into Janice Neal's car, killing her. And that crash caused Neal's car to hit a truck. And the driver of the Cadillac was taken to the hospital. It should be okay. The driver of the Chevy was not hurt. It's unclear if wet roads were a contributing factor. Police say alcohol was not a factor.
Developing news in Virginia Beach. Narcotics officers swarm a home in Rudy Heights, shaking up the neighborhood. And 13 News Now reporter Megan Shin has been on Southside Road all day. Megan's neighbors tell you that this isn't the first time police have been out there.
Arrianee, that's correct. Neighbors told us they've seen police out here at this house on Southside Road about 6 times. We called to confirm that, and they did say they've been out here 6 times in the past 6 months, just for routine calls, though. Now, when we arrived here, we saw investigators out looking at these cars and then driving them away around noon. Since then, just minutes ago, we saw 2 cars return here, leaving this parking lot almost filled to capacity like it was when they arrived. On the quiet street of Southside Road, what started out as a typical morning.
My kids catch a bus right out here in the morning around 8 a.m.
Quickly turned into a police investigation scene.
I didn't notice any activity, but shortly after that, I heard a large explosion.
David Taylor lives nearby the home Virginia Beach police have a search warrant for.
I looked out the window here and noticed that the street was blocked off from here down to there, and I noticed a SWAT, looked like that tactical unit there, and a battering ram looking device to breach the door.
We were asked not to show the investigators' faces because they were part of the narcotics team. As a unit, they searched inside the home, garage, cars, trash cans, and left by noon.
It's a great street, a lot of good people on here.
Neighbors say most people here keep to themselves, but this home usually has 6 or 7 cars coming out of it.
The most unusual thing is a lot of cars.
It'll be interesting to see what, happens when they get to the bottom of it.
Police say they're still investigating, so details are limited. People living here say they believe the street will be a little quieter now after this morning.
I'm happy that the police are on it, and I believe they probably waited till all the kids got on the school bus.
And the sister of a person who lives here drove up to me, and she told me that she was surprised to see the investigators had been here with a search warrant. She says she was coming here to help her sibling this afternoon clean out the garage. Reporting live in Virginia Beach, I'm Megan Shin, 13 News Now.
Well, Virginia Conservation Police say a second body was found in the James River, and it is that body of Kyle Engelhardt. He disappeared with Austin Savage in early January, just before the first big snowstorm actually hit. Family members say the men went duck hunting and never returned. Savage's body was recovered from the river on March 4th. Officials say Engelhardt's body was found late last week near a duck blind, not far from the Jamestown Yacht Basin. That's where the two men left from more than a month ago.
This just in, the Virginia General Assembly will meet on April 11th to figure out how to continue to fund the Commonwealth. Governor Ralph Northam just signed a proclamation calling the members into that special session. Lawmakers left Richmond last week without passing a budget. One major holdup was disagreement over possible Medicaid expansion.
It's been nearly 17 years and still there's no end in sight. We're talking about the war in Afghanistan. And today the military's lead general for that conflict briefed lawmakers. Mike Gooding has the details.
Well, and Arrianee, it is now America's longest war, surpassing Vietnam, which lasted 10 years. And today, U.S. Central Command's commanding officer appeared before the Senate Armed Services Committee with an update on the way forward.
Over 90% of the people in Afghanistan do not want the Taliban to be in charge of their country. It's not a popular insurgency.
U.S. troops have been fighting the fight in Afghanistan since 2001. U.S. Central Command Commanding General Joseph Votel told senators part of the new U.S. strategy is to go after a multi-billion-dollar drug trade there that the Taliban has relied on for years to fund its operations.
This is a lesson learned from Iraq and Syria, where when we got serious about going after the funding streams that supported ISIS, we started to see an immediate impact. And so that is exactly the attention here.
Votel said with ISIS largely defeated in Iraq and Syria, the United States is shifting more assets to the war effort in Afghanistan.
Our efforts are not only targeting their production and storage locations, but also working with regional partners to help limit the flow of that product out of the region. Again, trying to impede their ability to benefit from that.
Things did get a little testy when Votel was unable to answer South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham's questions about the U.S. objectives in Syria.
Is it still our policy that Assad must go?
I don't know that that's our particular policy at this particular point. Our focus remains on the defeat of ISIS.
Well, if you don't know, I doubt if anybody knows, because this is your job to take care of this part of the world.
Now, about Syria and the U.S. strategy there, Virginia's Tim Kaine weighed in saying, we're really puzzled by it. General Votel replied that fighting alone can't resolve the issues in Syria, and that what is needed is, he said, talking through diplomatic means under the UN. Reporting live, Mike Gooding, 13 News Now.
We have new information ahead of the trial of the Portsmouth City Councilman indicted on 20 charges, including identity fraud and forgery. Councilman Mark Whitaker's attorneys are asking the court to forbid prosecutors from bringing up certain details during his trial, which is scheduled to start next week. The defense team does not want any reference to, quote, any bad acts for which defendant is not indicted, or to certain financial dealings the credit union associated with Whitaker's church had with the feds. Whitaker maintains his innocence.
Well, entrepreneurs in Newport News could soon have a space dedicated to making their dreams a reality. The first steps have been taken to transform a vacant building in the city's Marshall Ridley neighborhood. 13 News Now reporter Nico Clemens explains.
More for the community, for the kids.
That's what Antoine Cofield is searching for here in the southeast community of Newport News. Cofield's lived in this part of town nearly 50 years. He's seen the community change quite a bit.
The city should first go and get some swings and sliding boards out there and some places for the kids to play. Next thing, city should fix up these streets.
City leaders are constantly working towards revitalizing the southeast part of town. Right now, plans are underway to renovate this vacant building on Jefferson Avenue to help aspiring entrepreneurs.
It's an important part of the fabric of the community.
Florence Kingston is the director of development for Newport News. She says the city's Economic Development Authority wants to turn the building into an incubator where small emerging business owners can get the resources in order to grow as a business.
This is something that the community really identified as a priority.
This new co-working space is part of the city's larger Choice Neighborhood Initiative, where the city hopes to rebuild and grow business activity in the southeast community.
Our desire here is to put something in the underserved part of our city that could be accessible.
It's going to cost a little more than $1 million to renovate the building. Kingston says they applied for a $30 million federal grant that would help them turn this vision into a reality. Cofield says it's time for a change.
We had the business down here, and I think the taxes ran them out.
And he's ready for the city to breathe new life into his community. In Newport News, Nico Clemens, 13 News Now.